and welcome back to the 2018 Granny Square Crochet Along. Today we have this poppy square which I have called Poppy Fields. We've got this poppy going on which it doesn't lay flat. If you can see, poppies don't lay flat, they kind of, blow in the wind, don't they? So this one you can kind of mold it, shape it however you feel, really. Just leave it free however it wants to be. So we've got it on the background of the Afghan square, if you recognize this design with this crisscross going on, which was day 52. So you will need your hook and some scissors. We've got some colour changes going on. You'll need a small amount of black. Obviously this is for a traditional poppy. Make it whatever colour you want to, but this is for a traditional poppy. You'll need a small amount of black. This is way too much, you really don't need much at all. And then I've got a red poppy here, so I've got this bright red going on, and then I've got my blue for Autism Month to do my background, and I've got a cup of tea. I really need my cup of tea today. It's quite essential. I do often have one, but not always. It's essential today, so go and put the kettle on if you haven't already. Yeah, so without further ado and waffling, let's get started on our poppy. Grab your hook and your black yarn. Okay, now I will apologise for using this black. I know you can't see much of what I'm doing with black, but I do want to make a traditional poppy, and this round doesn't last for long at all. Okay, so with your black, I'm going to call it black and red. If you're doing a different colour, that's fine. But with your black centre, you want to do a chain 4 and a slip stitch to start, and then slip stitch to make a ring. This will be quite a tight ring. That's how it's meant to be, so it can close up quite well. Okay, so chain 1, that doesn't count as anything, and then this is why I said it's such a simple quick round, because you are simply going to do 12 single crochets in this ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, scooch them around if you need to, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There we go, 12 single crochets. And then find your first single crochet. If you're not sure which is the first, then just have a count around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's not always easy, I've just miscounted there. So I'm not expecting you to be able to see these stitches on camera, but just count around yours to find your first stitch rather than your chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Sometimes it's just easier to count rather than guess, and then find out that on the next round you have one too many or one too few, and you're like, I need to do that again. So then just pull your tail a bit tighter, and that closes that ring in quite nicely. Okay, so that is all there is with your black. So fasten off and grab your red for the next round. Okay, so join your red into any stitch and do a single crochet. Sorry, join your red into any stitch, do a slip stitch to join that, and then do a chain 1. And she got her words out eventually. Okay, and then you're going to do 2 single crochets in this same stitch. 1, 2. And then simple, you're going to go all the way around doing 2 single crochets in every stitch. So you will have at the end 24 single crochets. Simple, simple. 24 single crochets at the end of this round. Just trying to catch my tails there. There we go. So 2 single crochets in every stitch, and I'll see you in a mo. Okay, so when you have 2 single crochets in every stitch, you want to join into your first single crochet with a slip stitch. Oops, that's a single crochet, that's not a slip stitch. Let's try that again. Oh dear, no amount of tea can sort me out today. Okay, so we're not going to fasten off, we are going to get ready for round 3. So for round 3, this is where we're going to start making our 4 petals. Okay, so we've got 24 stitches already, so each petal will be over 6 stitches. Okay, so we are going to chain 1 and then do a single crochet in that same stitch, and then in the next stitch you're going to do 2 double crochet, 1, 2 double crochet in that next stitch, and then you're going to do 2 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, so we'll have 8 double crochets altogether. So that's 4, so 2 in each stitch, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so 2 in each stitch, and then back down to a single crochet. So each petal is a single crochet, 8 double crochets and a single crochet. Okay, and then we're going to do that 3 more times. So go into the next stitch and do a single crochet, and then do over 4 stitches, do 2 double crochet in each, and then a single crochet. And when you get back round to the start here, do a slip stitch into your first single crochet. Okay, so each petal should have a single crochet, 8 double crochets and a single crochet all the way around. So you can see it's laying flat now, and if you want it like that, then that's fine. You could leave it at this size and flat if that's how you prefer it. But what I'm going to show you next is to add on and make your petals bigger and make it sort of this more 3D shape. Okay, if this is how you want it, feel free to leave it there and just forward the video for the next step. Otherwise, we are going to make our petals a bit bigger. So what we're going to do, we've already done a slip stitch into our first stitch, first single crochet for joining the round. So that's that one done. And then into the next stitch, which will be your first double crochet, you are going to do 2 single crochets. And then you're going to do 2 single crochets into each of the 8 double crochets. So you'll have 16 single crochets in this petal. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then into your single crochet down here you're going to do a slip stitch. And now this is the bit that on the pattern might trip you up. I haven't seen the final pattern yet, someone's typing that up for me, but it kind of can be a bit tricky. So we're going to do a slip stitch into the space here or below between these 2 single crochets. So I don't know if you can see this here. Okay, we've got a single crochet here from the end of this petal, and we've got a single crochet here for the first one of our next petal. So what you're going to do, go into the bottom of this second single crochet, and then pull your yarn through, and then just put it up slightly to the top. You do want this to be quite tight, and then do your slip stitch at the top there, and then just pull that yarn down. And what this does is it just makes this dip. You see where these petals go in quite a lot. If you look at this, it's quite sort of, it's just a little gentle dip here on this one. But if you look at this one here, it's much dippier. It goes down more. So that's what this slip stitch does. So just pull that a little bit tighter than you probably would normally, and that goes over there like so. So then into your next single crochet, which will be a bit tight to get to because you've got this slip stitch going on, go into there and do another slip stitch. So basically you are doing 3 slip stitches, 1 in the single crochet, 1 in between to make your dip, and 1 in the next single crochet. And then you are going to do exactly as you did on the other petal and do 2 single crochets in each double crochet. Do 16 of those, a slip stitch into your single crochet, and I will show you this slip stitch here once more. So do your 16 single crochets, and I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so I'll show you this slip stitch once more. So do a slip stitch into your first single crochet, and then you want to go to the bottom of this single crochet here. So go into the bottom, do your pull through, do your slip stitch, pull that down, and that pulls that center in between those 2 petals down, and then just pull your work around a little bit, find that first single crochet and do a slip stitch, and then off you go into doing your next petal, or 2 single crochets in each. So I will leave you to work that around, and your next 2 petals. When you come to this one here, do your last slip stitch, and that will be your the end of that, and time to fasten off. Okay, I'll meet you back around. Okay, so just in case I didn't make that quite clear, do your last slip stitch to make this dip, and then fasten off. You don't need to slip stitch into anywhere to finish off your round, just that one will do. Just make sure you pull it fairly tightly when you do that slip stitch, and then fasten off, and that is your poppy done. Just pull that tightly, make sure your centre's pulled, and there's your poppy. How lovely. I really like this poppy. So there we go, there's your poppy. Time to get your background colour. Okay, so background colour. Now if you wanted to do your background in red, that's absolutely fine, but you will need to fasten off and rejoin, because we need to turn our poppy over and look at the back. Now you want to look at a single crochet in line with one of your dips, so one of these center dips. Okay, I'm going to choose one that's away from my fasten off, and then if you look here at the back of your first round of single crochets, you've got these strands at the back, so you want to find one that's in line, roughly in line with your dip. If it's slightly to the left or the right, it doesn't matter. Find one that you can get your hook under. It will be tight, so go down a hook size if you need to. Now I've got a looser one here, so I'm going to go into that one. If you need to go down a hook size or use a needle to get through, that is fine. Just do a slip stitch through there and then pull that tight. Just join your yarn there, and it won't show from the front because you're just using the back strand. Okay, and then you want to do this loosely now. You're going to chain 2, but what you want to do is do fairly loose chain, so just pull that up a little bit and do a bigger, looser chain than what you normally would. Okay, so there we go, 2 chains, bigger and looser than I normally would. So then you're going to look at your next dip and find a single crochet you can go under, or the back of one, and go into there. Whichever way you find easiest, go into that stitch there and slip stitch. See, I've made that looser now, and then do your slip stitch into there, and then you're going to repeat this around. So you're going to do 2 loosish chains and then do a slip stitch into one of these here. Okay, and then do that twice more. Do that twice more, so you then have a sort of square loop of these chain 2 spaces. So when you've done your 4 lots of chains and you get back to the start, if you can get under your first loop, then do that. If not, just do it here around this sort of chain bit. That's fine. Okay. Okay, now you've got that part joined, what I'm going to do is pull up this loop so that won't go anywhere, and I'm just going to sew in this black end because it will be quite tricky to get to once you've finished your poppy. Once you finish your background. Okay, so this is now essentially going to be making an Afghan square, which was number 52. So we want to work from the front though, so turn your work around. You want to do it from the front so that your square ends up behind the poppy on the right side, the neat side. Otherwise you're going to have this back bumpy side behind your poppy, like so. Okay, so I'm going to work from the front. So with your poppy facing you, just fold the petal down slightly, and what you need to do is do a slip stitch over into this first chain space so that you are working from there. Now I know these petals are a bit weird because you sort of got your chain space going across like the middle of them, but we will manage, won't we, guys and girls? So we've done our slip stitch into there, and now we're going to chain 3, and this will form the first part of our cluster and our corner. Our corners are always cluster stitches. Okay, so we're going to just do a 2 double crochet cluster on here because we have got our chain. So start as a double crochet and then just do your first pull through. So you've got 2 loops left. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's your 2. So pull through those 3 loops. And now we're going to do a whole cluster after chaining 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 double crochet cluster. So that's 1. You'll always leave 1 loop on your hook, and you'll have the loop that was already on there. We've done cluster stitches in a fair few squares now, so I think you're probably quite familiar with this already. But just in case you haven't, in case you're finding our video for the first time, I am going to help you through. So there we go. So you've got 3 double crochets that you did partially, and then you finished off together with pulling through those last 4 loops. And then you are going to chain 2. And you're going to do exactly the same in this next chain. You're going to do a 3 double crochet cluster, chain 5, 3 double crochet cluster, and that will be your corner, excuse me, that will be your corner, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to do that chain 2 between your corners all the way around, and I will meet you back around the end of this round. So I'll see you in a second. If I can get the video to pause. Okay, so you should have 8 clusters when you've finished with a chain 5 in between your corners, and a chain 2 in between, chain 2 in between your corners, and at your corners chain 5. So something a bit like this. So at the end you are going to slip stitch into your top chain of your initial chain 3, and that finishes off our first round. There we go. So there's your first round completed. This is what it looks like from the back. If you look from the front, you won't actually see any of it yet, but you can see that where you fastened your blue in, you can't see any of it from the front because you went into the back strands. Awesome. So on to round 2. So for this square, we're always going to be starting in our corner space. So on each and every round, you will need to just slip stitch into your cluster and then into your corner, just to take you over into your corner space. So do that every round, okay? You'll be doing your slip stitch into your first chain, because every round you'll start with a chain for a cluster. So every round you'll finish with a slip stitch into your chain, and then you'll slip stitch across into your corner. Okay, so just remember that at the end of every round. So we're going to chain 3, as I just said, and we're going to make a cluster just as we have done before. This first one, remember, is only 2 double crochets because we have our chain. And then on this round, we are going to chain 3 for our corner. And then we're going to make a 3 double crochet cluster. So that's with the 4 loops, pull through. And then we are going to chain 2. And now this is where it changes a little bit, because we now have these clusters on our side. So we've done our chain 2. We're going to do 3 double crochets, not a cluster, just 3 double crochets into this chain 2 space between these side clusters. So 1, 2, 3, and chain 2. And then do your corner as before, do your 2 clusters with a chain 3 in between. So I've done my 2 clusters in that corner, and then chain 2, come across to this middle space again and do 3 double crochets. And you're going to continue this all the way around, doing your clusters in your corners, chain 2 to take you across to this space, do your 3 double crochets, and then 2 chains to take you across to your corner, all the way around, and then do your slip stitches as I said, and I'll see you for the next round. Okay, so it's time for round 3, because if you've done your slip stitch here into your chain and then slip stitched across into your corner space, now your corners are always going to be the same, with that chain 3 and then your incomplete, well, your partial cluster, so that 2 double crochet with that chain, and then chain 3 and another cluster in that corner. So that's how your corners are going to be on every round. Okay, that's nice and easy, and you're always going to go out of the corner with a chain 2, and you'll always be going into the corner with a chain 2. So it's nice and repetitive. The only thing that changes is this side part of how many double crochets you do. So let me just double check. Okay, so for this round and all our rounds from now on, you're going to, this chain 2 is going to take you across this first set of 3, and then you're going to do 3 double crochets into your first chain 2 space, 3, and then the difference here now is that you're going to do double crochets into these 3 stitches here. Okay, we always miss our first set to give us this space here. Okay, so we've done our 3 in this space, 3 in the middle, and then 3 in this next space. 1, 2, 3. Skip the last one with chain 2, and then we're back to our corner of doing 2 clusters with a chain 3 in between. And then you're going to do this exact same side on this side, okay? And I will meet you back around the end. If you need to reminder of what you're doing here, then just rewind a couple of minutes and see this side. Okay, so for our next round, I have done my first corner because that's exactly the same as what we've done down here, and then I've done my chain 2. So each round is going to be exactly the same. All you're having is just more stitches along this side. So what you're going to do is between your previous corner square cluster and your next double crochets, you're always going to do 3 in this space here, and then you will do 1 in every double crochet here, a double crochet, and then back to this space you will do 3 double crochet, just the same as here, and then you'll do your chain 2 and your corner just as before, and you'll do that around every side. So each time, so we had 3 here and now we've got 9, and then the next row will be 15, I think 15 if I've counted that right. So do that around this side, and you need to do that, I think you need to do this row and another row, and that should be your 6-inch size that we usually aim for. Okay, so I will meet you at the end of this I'll do this row and the next row, and then I'll see you back. So as I finish my square up, I just thought I would come back on to remind you of that the details of our Facebook group, where we upload the written pattern and chart every day to correspond with the video. We have that in our group. The link for that is in the description box below. If you have any comments or questions, please leave those in the comments below as well at the bottom of the page. Maybe we haven't reminded you for a while that we're not professional videographers, and we don't have professional equipment, so if ever it's a little bit quiet or the lighting isn't perfect, then I apologize for that, but just remind you to maybe turn up the brightness on your screen on your device. Headphones can work well. Different devices actually have different volume levels. I know on mine it varies between device to device, yeah, we're just a bunch of ladies from around the world who love to crochet and love to share that crochet with you guys, to help you make these beautiful squares as well. So we hope you enjoy crocheting along with us as much as we love crocheting along with you. We really do enjoy it, and we hope that you learn lots and it's really helpful to you. And if you haven't joined our Facebook group, then I do encourage you to, because you can upload photos of your creations there, and we love to see your photos, and so does everyone else. So I am going to fasten off this round now. If you've only just recently discovered us, if you click on the little circle picture of our logo, you can find playlists there for all of the months so far. Every square we've done, there's bonus videos there, there's how-to tutorials for some of the basic knowledge you might want to learn, tips and tricks, and lots of other stuff besides, so go have a look there. And there we go, there's our poppy field square completed. So you just need to sew in those ends and finish that off. This poppy is actually laying a bit flatter than my previous one. I think I did the previous one maybe a little bit tight, but anyhow, How nice is that? Poppy fields. And it is Anzac Day for Australia, so we're doing a poppy for them today. So there we go. If you found this useful, helpful at all, then please click that like button, give us a thumbs up, and until next time, just keep hooking and don't let your tea get cold.